Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Alicia Wilson. I'm Vice President for Economic Development for Johns Hopkins University and Johns Hopkins Health System. And it's my pleasure to welcome you to this week's edition of Entrepreneurship Matter. You do not want to miss this. We are going to be spilling all of the tea with two amazing women who are co-owners of tea companies. Let me set us all up, and then I'm going to invite Sunni and Brittany to come on screen with me so you can meet them and hear their inspirational story today. This is our 36th week of Entrepreneurship Matters, where we've been featuring two entrepreneurs who have told us their story of success as well as challenge. We started this 36 weeks ago at the urging of an amazing young person, Camry Moses, who also is in the beverage business, who said that it would be inspiring to hear the story of entrepreneurs. And we know today is going to be no different. We know that successful businesses, like successful entrepreneurs, are not built in a day, that it takes undiluted passion, multiple failures, and a long-term commitment to make it happen. Today we have Brittany Wight. She is a co-owner of Wight Tea Company with her brother, Joey Wight. They both carefully source high-quality tea leaves from suppliers around the globe. They call upon their expert palates and mixology experience, we're going to hear about that, to create unique handcrafted blends and seasonal tea drinks, now made to order at their stall in Whitehall Market. So welcome, Brittany. And we're also joined by Sunni Gilliam. Sunni is the co-owner of Teavolve Cafe, located in Harbor East section of Baltimore. With her shared passion for community, hospitality, and tea, Sunni has created a third place. For those of you who know about the first place, the second place, the third place cafe, where people can spend time between home and work. a gathering place where people could have a good time and build relationships over food and drinks, especially tea. Sunni's journey began 25 years ago as a hostess in a well-known jazz restaurant in Philadelphia. Since then, she's worked at various positions within the restaurant industry, where she learned tea building, marketing, customer service, and leadership skills. In 2005, Sunni and her partner Del Powell moved from Philly to Baltimore. We're so glad she did that, to open the original Teavolve Cafe in Fells. After building a following and being named Best Tea House and Best Tea Shop, they decided to expand their concept and the space. In 2008, Teavolve Cafe relocated a few blocks away from Harbor East, and within that space, it's a full-service cafe and has been named one of Baltimore's best breakfast and brunch restaurants. I can tell you that is absolutely true. And she is currently in partnership with Chef Andreas with World Central Kitchen, providing meals to Baltimore seniors during the pandemic. So Sunni and Brittany, feel free to come on screen. We're going to get right into the conversation this session.
Hello.
Hello, Sunni. Brittany, good to see you both.
Well, it's great being here. Thank you so much for inviting me. I feel
Oh,
honored.
my pleasure, my pleasure. And let me tell people, Sunni is actually in Teavolve. So if you are in Teavolve right now, just wave at Sunni, let her know you're watching on your phone or coming by, just wave at her. Don't interrupt us. Just wave at her. She'll wave back to you. And Brittany is
Oh,
broadcasting live as well. So let's get started into the conversation. What inspired you to be entrepreneurs? Why don't I start with Sunni and then I'll go to Brittany.
okay. I had been working for some wonderful um, entrepreneurs in the past, and I've never worked corporate. I've always done work with individually owned businesses, and so I was able to work very closely with the owners. And I always said, even before I thought about opening my own place, this is the type of owner that I would like to be if I were by chance to open my own place. I've worked in fine dining, I've worked in casual dining. Um, yeah, so I guess that's where the spark started. And yeah, I had no idea that even though I wanted to own my own place, I had no idea it would actually become true.
Yeah, dreams do come true. You're
Yes,
living proof of it. Absolutely.
absolutely, absolutely.
Now, Brittany, what inspired you? It's you and your brother Joey. That's a remarkable thing that you have a business with your brother. That's a labor of love. But what inspired you to want to be an entrepreneur?
Entrepreneurship definitely chose me. I had no idea I would ever own my own business. It's not something I dreamed of originally. Me and my brother are 7 years apart. We were never even friends until we found tea. It's actually how we became friends. And we've been studying tea together for about the past 11, 12 years. And it just kind of, it chose us.
Huh. So, okay, so let me stay with you for a second. So what caused you to study tea? So this is an older brother or younger brother?
He is my younger brother by 7 years. So,
Okay.
yeah. So I graduated from college during the last recession, 2008, and I couldn't find a job in my field. And I also was kind of realizing I hated that field. Um, so I was desperate for a job, and my brother already loved tea, and he really wanted me to get a job where he could get a discount. So he suggested I get a job at a tea shop. I applied, I got it, and I've been studying it ever since. So that's kind of what made me study tea, but on the very basic level. And from there, it just kind of, I took a real deep dive on my own.
That is so interesting that I think every brother wants his sister to get the discount. Every family needs one person with a good discount at a store. I believe it. Let's get into how you started your businesses, because there are many folks who are out there wondering, how did you go from both of you having a passion for tea,
Mhm.
the restaurant business, but how'd you actually start your business? And before you get into that, let me encourage everyone. I see we're already getting questions on Facebook and in the chat. You can put your questions in the chat. You may put them on Facebook. You may also text them in. So if you're listening on the phone, you can text 22333 and type JHUWL in the message, and we'll get all of those. And I'll make sure we weave them into the conversation while Sunny and Brittany spill tea. But Sunny, how'd you get started in the business? What steps did you go through to start your business?
Actually, one of the, I guess the next to the last restaurant where I worked, we had a tea program. This is the first time I had ever worked in a restaurant or known a restaurant that actually had a tea program. So the tea program was pretty extensive, probably about as extensive as the wine program. And
Mhm.
that's where I was exposed to and introduced to loose leaf teas. Prior to that, I was using tea bags because that's what I knew about tea is tea bags, your Lipton teas, and I
Mhm.
think Nestle. But when I was exposed to loose leaf tea, it just opened up a brand new world because the quality is much better. With tea bags, you get the dust of the tea leaves, where with loose leaf tea, you actually get the tea leaves. So you don't have to steep it as long. I believe with the Lipton tea, you can steep it for hours and it'll have the same, like, very tannic, bitter aftertaste. Where with loose leaf tea, the tops you would steep it is about 5 minutes, depending on the tea. But it is very flavorful, and there's so many different teas outside of English breakfast or Earl Grey. The one of the current vendors I use, her shop has about 325 teas. What
Wow.
I loved about loose leaf tea is I equated it to wine because I was a big wine drinker back then. So I would have the tea program and I would have the wine program, and the person that supplied the teas to that particular restaurant in Philadelphia where I was managing, she's currently my tea mentor. So she exposed me to different types, learning how to do tea tastings. And at that time, I was drinking a lot of coffee. In the restaurant industry, you tend to drink a lot of caffeinated products, and coffee was my drink of choice. And my doctor told me, you need to start laying off the caffeine. I was doing triple, quadruple shot mochas. So I had the caffeine and the sugar that was driving me through those late nights. Because sometimes my nights wouldn't end until 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. And so I was constantly pounding that down. And my doctor told me I need to reel it in with the caffeine. So that's when I was introduced to tea, and I was kind of reluctant because tea doesn't give the same jolt that coffee gives, but it still has a lot of teas still have the same amount of caffeine, but it's a different type of caffeine. So it doesn't give you that jolt. It kind of it lifts you up, and then it's kind of steady. And had no idea. Again, my exposure to tea were just tea bags. So that was very enlightening. And I started to spend a lot of time well, at that time, I was spending a lot of time in coffee shops because that was doing a lot of espresso. Especially coming back from Europe, I was an espresso fiend. So it was no longer coffee. I had to, increase my intake of caffeine. And I loved the community that these coffee houses provided. And again, always said, oh, if I ever were to open a business, I would love to have that feel, that third place feel. I met a lot of wonderful people, the owners included, hanging out at these coffee houses. And that was something that I wanted to provide if I should open my own place, which is something I never thought I would do. So that's a long story
No,
of my
no, I
journey.
think you said a couple of really important things. One, I didn't even know there was such thing as a tea program. I don't know if I'm the only one
Neither did
who
I.
didn't know there was a tea program. I
Yeah.
know wine programs like to become a sommelier, but I did not know that there was a tea program. I feel like I could have had another career if I had known that I could have gone into a tea program. And
Yes.
then you had a mentor, which many
Yes.
entrepreneurs have talked about on Entrepreneurship Matters, so vitally important to really help them have that learning curve. And then you really started to research sort of the feel of what you would want of your business, right? The
Yes,
coffee house feel, that
exactly.
European coffee house feel. You know, sometimes across the US, you might go to coffee houses, but really that distinct feel of being in that third place, right? Where
Yes.
our lives converge in a really meaningful way. Very, very helpful tips for folks. How about you, Brittany? How did you go from getting the tea discount for your brother to starting a business and starting a brand in many respects?
Yeah, I think we were preparing for this way before we even knew what we were doing. After I left the tea shop, Joey came in behind me, my brother. And so he got that experience working in the tea shop while I moved on to work for other small businesses. And I got different types of trainings from retail through market research to working in an office, etc. Just kind of learning all these sort of different facets for other small businesses. And Joey also typically followed behind me on most of those jobs too. If I would leave, he would step in. And then we parted ways. He started working in restaurants. I stayed working in retail. So he was getting a food experience while I was getting other training as well. And once we started to really talk about starting the business seriously, I started going to farmers markets and kind of looking around other stores in the area and seeing what local brands I thought were doing a really good job that I was, interested and excited by. So I would go and try and get in touch with those business owners. And I would have a sit down coffee or tea with them and ask them a couple questions if they had the time for me, or do it over email. Um, Started reading some books, etc., asking for any advice that anyone was able to give me. And finally, one of those business owners was like, "You need to stop doing all of this. Like, it was good that you did this, but stop now and like start your business. Or you're never going to do it." So, me and my brother booked our tickets to an expo. So, the Tea Expo, and at that time it was in Atlanta. That's the one that we could afford to go to, which is close by. We didn't have to take a plane. We drove the 10 hours and we didn't kill each other. And then after the expo, there was a local market that was looking for vendors, and we set the date. And that was the date that we had to be ready. We were going to participate in that market. So we had to do everything from making our first 4 tea blends is what we wanted to start with. We had like a schedule we had a timeline, like we had to come up with these blends. We have to get our design done, website done, labels, tins, everything needs to be ready to go by this date, and this is the launch date, and that's what we committed to, and that's how we hit the ground running.
Excellent. Couple of things. I took notes on what you were saying so I could just help folks who are watching to take the notes alongside me. First, you and your brother worked in the industry in tea shops, right? So you both got some real practical, experience with what would it take to have a tea shop. Second, you said that you received, can't read me my handwriting, received various training. That's what it says. Various training in a number of different fields. You in retail, your brother in the restaurant industry. Third, you did market research. So you started going to farmers markets, seeing what brands were doing it well and taking nuances. Then you got a mentor and really started asking the hard questions of other business owners, drinking tea with them, coffee, I heard you say. And then you were urged to start, to take the leap into business and to get started. Um, Sounds like that tea expo, just like the tea program. I didn't know there was tea expos, but see, everybody, there's tea expos that are out there. And went to that trade organization, and then really just launched and got started in the industry, which I think is so helpful for a lot of folks. And I already see questions about how do you take the leap, all those things. We'll get to that in just a moment. But let me end where start where we just ended, which is so you start your business, but what was the, and we're all drinking tea for anybody that doesn't know. I mean, Brittany and I mean, Brittany has a beautiful cup. Doesn't have words on it, but it's beautiful. It's beautiful. Show your cup, Brittany. Show your cup. Yeah, beautiful cup. Beautiful cup. I have a white cup. It's not that I couldn't pull out my good cup, but Sunny has a cup which is classic. Show me your cup, Sunny. It says, "Hello, is it tea you're looking for?" I think this is hilarious. I don't know if anybody else does. I think it's hilarious.
I love it.
I have to get that cup. I have to get the cup. So, tell me, Sunny, what when you started your business, you started
Yes,
as a cafe before you were a restaurant cafe.
correct.
Can you tell us about your early start? Like, what did you not anticipate? What did you fall into when you and Dell started Teavolve in Baltimore?
Oh, okay. Oh, trying to narrow this down. So we moved here in Baltimore 2005, and the property we purchased is both residential and commercial. So we lived above the cafe. It's about 1,000 square feet, so it's much smaller. I didn't have any coffee products. I had all tea products, and we tried to do everything that we could do with tea. We had tea parties, we had tea tastings with our chocolate vendor. So it was called Tea and Truffles. Um, we when we moved here, we didn't know anyone from Baltimore, so we relied on press release. There was really no social media back then in '05, so we relied on press releases and magazines kind of picking up or focusing or I'm sorry, featuring us in articles. So that's how we got the word out, because we certainly didn't have a budget to do marketing or do any advertising. I would say that what we didn't expect, when they say location, 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 that makes a huge difference.
Yeah.
Even though it's about 5 blocks away from our current location, parking was a challenge. So we were there for 2 years, and we decided we need to move in a more in a higher traffic area, and that's where we chose Harbor East. And when we chose this location, there really wasn't anything around here, so we were kind of the
No.
pioneers. Um, this building wasn't even here, so we just based it on renderings. And in 2008, we opened this location, which wasn't the best time to open because shortly after the recession hit. But I would say the challenge, or what we learned about the original location, was location is definitely key. I'm glad that we got the chance to start small. So our current location is about 3 times larger from our original, and we were able to build a clientele base using that small location, and we expanded vastly with this location because not only was it larger, we had to offer more. So of course we had to offer coffee, we had to offer a larger menu. At our original location, we just had soup, salads, and panini. So it was very we were able to maintain that. It was just my business partner and myself. And on the weekends, I would have a an assistant come in. Where here we rely solely on a full staff.
Yeah. No, you have a. I mean, it's. I remember Teavolve when it was not the restaurant. I had a lot of time at Teavolve. Kim
Yes.
was my favorite server.
Oh, she's wonderful.
She always hooked me up. Gave me a little bit of extra hot water. I'm going to tell on her. She did give me some extra hot water on the bag, which in law school helped me a lot. I could not afford that other
Oh,
company.
sure.
So, great,
Absolutely.
great staff, great staff.
Oh,
How
thank you.
Yeah, great staff, great service. And
Oh,
Brittany,
thank
how
you.
about you? What did you? How did you start? You told us you went to the expo. You and your brother come up with 4 blends of tea, and then you launch into your business. Tell us about your early days. What was that like? Um, Getting started. I still can't believe you and your brother didn't kill one another in a car. It was the
We haven't
truth.
killed each other yet, so.
That's right.
That could be a challenge.
Okay, so can you ask that question again? So,
So what was it like in your early days? So you
early
talked about being, starting out at the with 4 blends with your brother, just getting started. Like your mentor said, if you don't start, it's not going to happen. Can you tell us about like your arc? How was it starting your business?
Sure. I think the first thing that I would say about starting our business in the early days is we really had to come to terms with one, that slow growth is okay. And not every business has to be a massive business within 6 months of opening. And we also, getting started and being told to stop waiting, like we were waiting to have some sort of savings, and that's just not really something that we were ever going to get to. I probably wouldn't have started my business even at this point. So we just don't come from that. So we started off with a credit card, which maybe wasn't the best idea, but we quickly got off of the credit card. That was the plan the whole time. And it was just tough. We went, it was, we also had to come to terms with the idea with knowing that being perfect is never going to be a realistic and attainable thing. Mm-hmm. And so we got started, we tried things that we liked, and if we didn't like them, we changed them. And nothing is always going to work out exactly like you think. So you just need to be ready to go with something else. Mm-hmm. That's really the early days of just figuring things out. And honestly, it's still, we still hit those same things. It's just in a different way.
Yeah. Someone on Facebook commented they are guilty of paralysis by over analysis, which can stop you I can stop you as an entrepreneur. I can just stop you as an individual working for somebody else. Really, in many respects. So this question has come in a couple of times, a couple of different ways. So I'm going to ask it now, which is, as entrepreneurs, we know that you both experience unanticipated circumstances. Brittany, you talked about you came out of college at the recession. Sunni, you started your business at the start of the recession.
Yes.
You had a pandemic start that closed businesses, closed you down. So some of those are circumstances, adversity, challenges. So folks are asking, what keeps you going, and how do you cope and keep the faith in that, in those times? So Sunni, what kept you going, and what keeps you going, and how are you coping and keeping the faith during those times?
Oh, that is an excellent question, and I reflect on this quite often, especially during the past year. Of course, has been a challenge. There's a lot of, you definitely have to be super flexible, but still be true to your brand, because if you're true to your brand, you're true to your customers. So we had to be super flexible, and there's a lot of pivoting. But what really kept me going, and because we never closed during the pandemic, we closed for 3 days during the pandemic because I had to regroup and think, what is it that I need to do to survive? And but the thing that really made me keep going, or kept me going, was knowing that everyone here depended on me. So I had no option. Closing was not an option. Failing was not an option, because I had, prior to the pandemic, we had about 30 employees, and a lot of them are full-time. So they relied on this job. So that's what kept us going, and we all worked together as a team. I really got a chance to know everyone, because when you are just, moving constantly, and you're busy, you're just trying to, especially as an independently owned business, you're just trying to stay afloat day to day. So you really don't have time to slow down and really engage with the employees as much as you will, at least as much as I would like, especially working having a larger cafe. So I had an opportunity to really create a family, and because I viewed them as family, I had to make sure that they were taken care of. So if nothing else, if I didn't break even, as long as I knew there was money in their pocket, I was going to keep going. And I think that helped us get to, get over the hump. We're not out of the woods, but we're much better than we were this time last year.
Yeah, no, you can feel the love when you come in the door. You
Thank
get to
you.
say hi to people. You do feel the love that you all are emitting, and it's really
Thank you.
nice to hear about business owners. That's why businesses like Wight Tea Company and Teavolve are so important, because you are touching families and lives. 30 individuals, that's a huge employ
Yeah.
of folks that you're impacting. So I can see why that kept you going. How about you, Brittany? What kept you going in times of adversity? How do you keep the faith? How do you cope?
I think I love a challenge. So I love every second of doing this. And this is something that I found that I just love. I love challenges. I love it when somebody says something stupid to me and it makes me angry. I love it. I love figuring things out. I like, I can complain all day and then I can be like, this is the best. I love doing this. It's interesting. We were talking earlier and Sunni was saying, it's just different every day. There's always something different. We can show up to the same place every day and it's going to be a whole new challenge, and there's going to be a bunch of people coming in that are just going to make you, I don't know, see things differently and try and figure something else different. I love it. Another thing that kept me going was as we started out with those markets and we were really, going market to market, we started to build a family of other business owners and a business community. And just having those people, when this all happened, I started doing live streams on Facebook and we would all just talk about how we were surviving and, having just other people to, root all of us on together. We were all just kind of working on how are we going to survive this and what are we going to do to support each other.
Yeah, no, that support circle is so important, and having folks around you really key to keep going. So folks are asking us what is in our cup, what's your favorite tea blend? I'll tell you, mine's not as, they're gonna come out with some real stuff, but mine is a lemon ginger. That's my tea blend
Of
in my
course.
cup. Sunny, I'm not a tea person. I didn't go to tea school. But what's your Sunny, what's your favorite blend?
I would say my favorite, I'm not drinking it now, but my favorite is Pu'er. Um, and Pu'er ranges from a very young one, like we have a 2-year-old Pu'er, but I have seen a 125-year-old Pu'er, which is more of a vintage style and very expensive. But
This is tea.
it is tea. Yes, it's considered a black tea, but it's to most people, but it has a category of its own because it can either be aged in a cave or aged in dirt, or I should say soil. I shouldn't say dirt, in soil. But it has a lot of
125 years old.
antioxidants.
It's 125 years old
Yes,
in the cave.
in the cave, exactly.
The cave. Okay.
Exactly. So
And
it's
then
aged for
so this
125.
must be
I don't have that.
is this on the menu?
I don't have that one. That one is very expensive. When I was able to do more sourcing, there's a place in DC. I'm not even sure if it's there anymore. That had one that was 125 years old, and it was $300 an ounce. I can't touch that. I hope to try it one day, but not at $120, $300.
Okay, I was wondering when you started saying 125. That sounds like liquid gold, and so
Yeah, it was like wine. So that's how you equate it with wine.
that's
Yeah,
like extend your life. That's probably the stuff, the tea that extends your life.
yes,
Yeah,
absolutely.
I
Yeah,
love it. I love it.
yeah.
Brittany, what's your favorite blend? What's your favorite tea blend?
I'm really obsessed right now with our blueberry basil rooibos blend. It doesn't.
Lovely.
I'm pregnant, and I can't drink a lot of caffeine. You can't see you can't see, but so I'm kind of cutting back. I've really been cutting back on caffeine, and honestly, with summer coming up too, the blueberry basil rooibos, it's caffeine free. It's just so good. I just drink it straight, no sugar, and I can chug it. It's just a good alternative to switching up water.
Blueberry basil. Okay, blueberry basil. You sell that. So folks want to know this. How do you, both of you have following? Tremendous followings. Folks that's how we found you, Brittany. Y'all have a following. You have a lot of folks. Sunni, I've been there. Billy Murphy actually introduced me.
Oh yeah, oh wow, that's wonderful.
When I was a young pup in law school. So he introduced me to Teavolve. Oh, Billy a lot. But how do you build your clientele? We've had that question. How do you build your client base, your customer base? Of course, you're on this platform, so everybody should go on the web and follow you both and figure out how to get more of your support your businesses and buy from your businesses. But how do you build your clientele? Sunni, how do you go about doing that?
Positive word of mouth. Positive word of mouth. As you mentioned, when you've come here, you've had a great experience with great food and great customer service, and we rely heavily on both. And again, we don't have the budget to advertise, and so we rely heavily on our staff to give great customer service. And we don't have, I wouldn't say we have the best food out there. We have really good food, but it's the feeling people have. Oh, that's our number one seller.
Oh,
yeah, that kept us through the pandemic.
Don't tell my mother. Don't tell my mother. But y'all make grits better than my mom. Don't tell her.
Really?
Don't tell her.
It's made with love and a lot of heavy cream.
No, it's a lot of heavy cream. You can feel it.
And butter.
Word of mouth. I mean, I think that's right. Good work, good food, good service will get you business.
Yeah.
How about you, Brittany? What would you say? What's helped you and Joey grow the business?
Yeah. I would say creating an experience that people are excited to, one, participate in themselves, and then two, they want to share with others. I took a couple notes on this one. When we were doing the markets, and honestly, even at the shop now, doing tastings, so like letting people try things before they get to buy something. That will sell any tea. The second you try something, people are like, oh yes, that's it. Word of mouth is a huge part of growing a following, and also engaging with the people. Like, even if they're not engaging with you first, just finding people you think are cool and talking to them as your business, and building that community that way, and also supporting other people without the expectation of support back. So even just
so true.
Get out to those openings that you hear about, go to those shops, go see them, support them, and share about them, and talk about other people's businesses, and people will want to follow you too.
Absolutely. We're dropping their contact in the chat as well as on Facebook. So if you're saying, I'm on this show right now, I want to figure out how I can support them, where they're located, just click on the links that you're seeing on the chat and Facebook and online on here. And if you're listening on the phone, it's teavolvecafe.com, as well as Wight, WIGHT company on the web. But you can get all those if you come back on our Facebook later on. So these are a couple of questions. Before the show, I was asking Sunni and Brittany, like, who's the famous folks that'll come in, and they talked about Danny Glover, and who else we talk about? Who else has been in there? Al Sharpton, a couple other people. But I'm glad to tell you that I got Oprah to watch today. Just Oprah and I think Melody Hobson, and I might even have Robert Smith on. I'm not sure if he's watching. I'm hoping he's watching. And the question is, how do we ensure that there are more Teavolves and more white tea companies, right? You're both like mainstays in Baltimore. It's a blessing that we can buy from your businesses here in Baltimore, that you're employing people in our community. But how could those who are investors in philanthropy, those of us who are consumers, who are thinking about, who make decisions for companies, how can we be supportive of you? So what's your advice, Sunny? This is your chance. It's open. It's
Oh
your
boy.
chance.
Um, just to come in and experience Teavolve, because it is an experience. It's not just selling food. All of our staff members are very friendly and they're engaging, and we have a lot of repeat business. So we remember faces, and we remember, they like to bring in their family and friends, and they like to share. It's like, oh, this is one of my favorite places, so I want to share them with my family and friends. But I always say that Teavolve is an experience. So, luckily we have a large online order and people do takeout, but to sit down and have a cup of tea or even coffee, but sit down, have a cup of tea and have the shrimp and grits or chicken and waffles or an omelet is
Oh,
something
omelets.
that's totally different.
Those
Yeah.
omelets are hitting too. You're right on that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
They're
you know,
pretty
you
good.
gotta visit. You have to visit, support. How about you, Brittany? What would you say? This your chance. It's your chance.
So a couple things. If you are in larger businesses or nonprofits, we do offer some items for gifting. Like we just worked with the Baltimore Symphony Orchestra, for instance, to do a tea time, and they sent out to their donors some tea and an infuser basket, and they had like a whole symphony, like a Zoom concert, and then they served our tea, and so it was tea with the opera,
I
which
love
I mean with
that.
the not the opera, I'm so sorry, with the orchestra. Um, you can have a meeting. We have lots and lots of spaced out seating in the market, and bring everybody's kind of itching to talk to people face to face these days. We've got outdoor seating. Bring somebody in for a tea. And if you don't like tea, we have a coffee shop in the market too, but even just introducing them to the space is important. And if you're not somebody who is chock full of money, please share. Just share with anybody. Everybody knows someone who likes tea. So just telling other people, hey, you might like this. That's a big help.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, both you can come and see their businesses, and so that's really a real treat. Um, Now I know, I mean, I'm a tea drinker. I'm not a coffee drinker, I'm a tea drinker.
Okay.
But do people have any misconceptions about the tea business, tea in general? Do you hear things? I mean, I know the 125 tea. I never heard of that, but and I didn't even know. I didn't even now I just feel like my life has changed. But are there
Yeah.
misconceptions about the tea business or tea?
I think tea in general, even though it's been around for hundreds of years, it's still relatively new to people in the States. But a common complaint about green tea, especially, it's, oh, I don't like green tea because it's too bitter.
Yeah.
Usually, what I ask is, what kind of green tea are you drinking? Like, most likely, it's from a tea bag, and they're over steeping it. So, green tea,
Yeah.
you only have to steep for 3 minutes, and you can actually steep it multiple times.
Mhm.
But usually, that's the case, and 99% of the time, I can convert a person from a black tea or just not drinking tea at all to a green tea. And we're able to make our teas not only hot, but we also ice them. So we have about 30 different loose leaf teas in stock, and we can ice every one of them. Our number one teas, our number one seller right now is the ginger peach. So you mentioned that you're drinking a peach, a ginger tea. The ginger
I
peach
love
is
peach
by
tea.
far number one seller. But yeah, you can get any of our teas hot or iced,
Hmm.
and you can get it with a little sweetener. You can get it with honey or agave. But most of the time, people are over steeping their teas and they find it very bitter. And especially if you're doing a tea bag that has a lot of tannins in it.
How
Yeah.
about you, Brittany? What's somebody not but confused about the tea business?
One, I think a lot of people feel daunted by making loose leaf tea. They just see these leaves and they don't know how to make that into I drink outside of a tea bag. When really it's so easy and you don't need much equipment at all. I feel like you need less equipment than you need with coffee. If you have, I mean, honestly, bare minimum, if you have a pot that you can heat water up in, it doesn't have to be a kettle, and you have like a spaghetti strainer, you're set. Like, you know, you have everything you need to brew tea. But so I think it can feel daunting to people, and it really isn't. Once you do it once or twice, it's like it's so easy. I think another thing that we come across a lot is people will say often like, "Oh, well, I'm a coffee person. I don't drink tea." And I think there's just this like, I don't understand where this polarization came from. Like, you can absolutely drink coffee and tea and enjoy both of them for different reasons and for different flavors. And um, you know, some people think tea is too weak. Look, there's so many ways to make tea. We make spritzers with our tea. We make cocktails. We do all sorts of stuff. There's so many ways to enjoy tea. To just discount it because it's not coffee always blows my mind. And some people say I only drink coffee. I'm like, well, do you also drink juice or water or anything else? Like, you know, there's other things that you drink. You don't just drink coffee, right? Like, so tea and coffee do not have to battle. We can all be friends and we can all enjoy all different types of beverages.
I agree. I mean, I love coffee for the cream, and I love tea for I
Sure.
really do like the taste of cream. It's not really the coffee, but yes, I agree. Someone said I never knew oversteeping was a thing. So people don't know that. I mean, you just saying you're teaching folks gyms today. Let me ask you this: how do you decide? Folks are asking, how do you decide what's on your menu? Like you're pairing tea with something else. How do you decide what's on your menu? And do you sample to gauge what people would want more of? How are you, Sunny, figuring that out?
Now, is this in reference to our tea menu or our food menu?
Food.
Or but okay.
Oh
Um
no, hold on. I think they
okay.
meant tea.
Okay, our tea menu.
Yeah.
Um it kind of evolved to what we have now. At our original location, I had about 50 different teas. So I was able to gauge what the top sellers were and bring them over to our current location. So you would always need your English breakfast because that's a very popular one, your Earl Grey. Um, we have a few white teas. Like I said, the ginger peach is by far the favorite. I think if I took that off the menu, there'll be a mutiny. And then, so a lot of them, yes, I taste. I currently use two tea vendors as I trust the quality of their teas. But
Mhm.
when I choose I guess the last time I added a tea was maybe last year. But before I add it, I make sure I have the entire staff taste it because they're the ones on the front line, and they're the ones that recommend teas to people when they ask, "Oh, what teas? Well, what do you like? What is your favorite?" So we definitely taste them first, and I have everyone in the cafe try it before I bring it on.
Mhm. How about you, Brittany? How do you choose which teas are going on? I'm looking on your website. I can see all the different flavors you have right now.
Yeah, so we typically will start with some research. I'm always looking into things like flavor trends, whether it's in food or beverage, because food matters too. And if something I can make, we use a lot of like sweet and savory or floral and, you know, herbal, and we like to mix flavors. Um, so we're doing research constantly and we're looking at flavors that we like and we're trying different things and looking at blending charts and we have education in blending as well. So that's what we are looking at, what's going to be hot for the next season, et cetera, and then working from there. We also do a trial by seeing what sticks. So we tried out two blends last year. One of them just like didn't really get well, and so we pulled it and we still like the concept, and so we're still working on it, you know, like we know it can be something, but it wasn't quite there. And then just like Sunny, we all tasted together, and by all I mean mom too, and you know, friends and family, and what do you think of this and what do you think could be better about it, and then tweaking it. And we'll probably start with three different blend options, and then we try them and we see which ones we like best and what stands out, and then we go from there and kind of narrow and nitpick, etc.
Yeah, no, if you ever need, I know there are a bunch of people on saying we would be samplers. If you need samplers for your stuff, we can sample,
No problem.
give you be critics.
We're
I mean,
working
I
on
that I can
we're
critique.
working on 2 new blends for spring, so if you do come in soon, you might be trying them. Just come by
right.
and we'll see.
We're gonna do it. All right, this question's coming. We have someone that owns a store.
Okay.
So folks are asking, do you all package for stores? And if so, where do you get containers of your beverages? Brittany, do you package for stores?
Yep, we do wholesale loose leaf and we also do wholesale retail. So if you want to carry our teas in your shop, just go to our website, wight.com, and you'll see there's a wholesale bar, like there's a wholesale button at the top of the menu. And it's like wholesale contact, and you can just send us a message there to reach out, or you can email me directly at hello@wight.com. It's white like light, not like the color. And then we also offer custom blending with private labeling. It does have, we do have costs and procedures for that. So again, send that email and I will send you the details.
Excellent, excellent, excellent. Sunny, do you package?
I do not.
Okay, okay. I didn't think so. I thought I had to come in there and get my tea.
Yeah.
Good time.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
All right. So what? Let me pivot back and pivot back to the part of our conversation where we're talking about, your business outside of the tea. But
Sure.
Folks are asking, do you think that starting your businesses, both of you started with partners, Joey for you, Brittany, Dell for you, Sunny, do you think it was easier to start with a partner? Was that intentional to start with a partner in your business?
It was good for me because my background and his background are totally different. He comes from corporate. He was in management at UPS, which is very structured. Where I always worked for independently owned businesses, so we weren't as structured. Sometimes we would clash because he would say, "Oh, well, I would never handle it that way. I would never handle people this way." You have like a list or a lot of red tape that you have to do. Where with working for independently owned businesses, we can do things on the fly. And with the restaurant business, there's a lot of thinking on your feet and a lot of doing things on the fly. We don't have time to run it down the chain to come up with a solution. We have to come up with a solution immediately. So, there were good and bad things about it, or good and challenging things about having a business person. But it's good to bounce ideas. It was good to bounce ideas off of them. And then also, especially during the challenging times, knowing you're not in this alone. So it was a great sounding board.
Yeah.
It still is.
Yeah. No, absolutely. How about you, Brittany? Joey, was it intentional?
Yeah, well, we both have always, we found this together. So yes, it was always intentional. And his mind is different than mine. I'm a little more creative minded. I love the customer service side of things. I love the marketing. I love social media, etc., doing all of the front of house things. My brother is much more of a back of house minded person, and he also, does more with numbers, where I'm just not, that's not my strong point, and I don't have his strong points, and we really complement each other. And I think another benefit of being a brother and sister is, while we do know each other's buttons to push, we know which buttons to not push to make the relationship survive. So we know we've figured out how to communicate with each other, and we know when we need to sit down and be like, all right, let's talk about this.
Yeah, no, it's good. I mean, both of you, you talk about your partner having almost like a yin and a yang, right? So you're where you are strong on one point, they're strong on another, and it all works out. So this is an interesting question. We've never received this question.
Ooh.
And I love it. It's a beautiful question. We have to have the team. Y'all got to run this question back again. Can you remember a specific instance that reassured you that this is worth
I'm sorry, what was the last part? That reassured.
you that this is worth it, right?
Oh,
It's a
I
good
would.
question,
Oh,
isn't it? That's a good question.
that's a
I-
fabulous question. I would say I'm reassured every time I open the doors because I love my staff and I love our customers. And so each day I'm reassured that I'm on the right path. I always thank the universe for, allowing me to meet so many different types of people, that, you know, that the universe led me to, or led us, Dell and myself, to Baltimore. That was never the plan. It just happened, but things never just happened. So we were planted here for a reason, and I'm not sure how well we would have been received in Baltimore. Not that we're doing anything totally out of totally different, but the dynamics would have been different because we knew no one when we moved here in Baltimore. So we were starting from scratch, and we kind of relied on each other to move forward. And but like I said, every day I'm thankful for the staff and the customers, and that is the fuel that keeps me going forward.
Yeah, no, absolutely, absolutely. How about you, Brittany? When's that moment when you feel reassured this is worth it?
um, I'm kind of, similar to Sunny. Whenever we get that really positive review that comes through, and someone saying how much it made their day. We got a message last week from a person who drove a significant amount to celebrate by buying something from us for their birthday. So they came to us to get a drink for their birthday, and she said it like made her birthday day, like during the pandemic where she couldn't really do much. And that just really means a lot. At the beginning of COVID, we got a message from a girl who was sick, and she was just like, this is the only thing I look forward to right now is drinking your tea, because it's just good and it makes me feel good. And you know we were all really dealing with some mental health stuff at that point. We were all feeling kind of low, right? So
Yeah.
it's always great to hear when someone enjoys my products, and they enjoy it so much that they decide to either tell me directly, or they decide to tell the public that they don't even know.
Yep. Yeah. Let me hold on. We are getting questions in, and I have 5 minutes, and I'm gonna get in trouble.
Okay.
Oh, it's good. Let's go. The question that we're about to get, that we just received, is in line with the question I was going to pose. Which is, I'm gonna blend them like a
Okay.
tea blend.
Oh,
Blend them, yeah. And then
nice.
y'all going, yeah. I'm gonna sip my tea as y'all tell me what you think
Okay.
I have to say. So, one, what's been your greatest achievement, and what's big coming up? What's the next big
Oh,
thing that's coming up for each of you? So, Sunny, what's the greatest achievement? The shrimp and grits might be. I mean, I think it's one of the all
that's our
time.
biggest achievement.
It's a
Um,
great
I
achievement.
would I would say the biggest achievement right now, like off the top of my head, is surviving the well, it's different. Surviving the recession in 2009, surviving the construction for the new Whole Foods, because we lost a lot of parking, and a lot of visibility. So that's 2015, and
Yeah.
then surviving the pandemic. Those were our big achievements.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and what's down the pike is, I guess, continuing to help the community. I am so fortunate, we're so fortunate to be a part of the World Central Kitchen, run by Chef Andreas, and being able to feed the seniors in Baltimore. So I would like to continue that because that actually is in my mission statement, which I try to go to on a regular basis to stay on track. But yeah, so Teavolve is about community, and that's just a leg of it. It's not just people coming in and sharing with friends and family, but also us sharing and helping the community.
Mm-hmm. Excellent, excellent. How about you, Brittany? What's been one of your greatest accomplishment, and what's coming up for you?
Sure. For our greatest accomplishments, right now, it would have been opening our physical location right in the middle of the pandemic. It was really fun. We spent 2 years getting through all the construction, which was also just draining. And then to have everything wrap up in March of 2020 and get the notice that we had to open in June of 2020 while there was a lockdown. And not only that, but at the same time, still beating our sales goals and our projections that we had come up with for ourselves with the lender that we were working with for the space. And then coming up, right now we're working on a rebrand. So we'll be changing a lot of things like our packaging. I hate our packaging right now. Nothing's ever perfect. And this is something that's needed to change, and we're doing
I like your packaging.
Thank you. The tins are really hard to open, and I know that. So if you get a tin and you have trouble opening it, it's changing, I promise. And then the production space, we're adding production space. We're looking right now at a few different warehouse flex spaces so that we can expand production and really grow our line and grow our amount of product that we can have on hand at any given time.
Excellent. Let me just say this. This has been an extreme treat to be with you, Sunni and Brittany. You are both,
So,
I mean, just so wonderful. We're so blessed to have you in Baltimore, to have your businesses thriving. It is just an honor, really, to get to interview you both. I was looking for
thank you so
for
much.
so long, and so I'm just really grateful for you. Let me give you both the opportunity. We talked about your websites, your physical stores. Can you tell people how to get in touch with you, how to purchase from you? So, Sunni, give it to us. How can we
Okay.
get it?
Well, we're located in Harbor East. Our address is 1401 Alexander Street. We're right next door to the new Whole Foods. And we're seating 25% capacity indoors. We also have outdoor seating. Our brunches are very busy. I would come early as possible. We're open Tuesday through Sunday, 9 to 4. And it's walk-in only. We're not taking reservations right now.
Excellent, excellent. How about you, Brittany?
Physically, you can find us inside of Whitehall Market, which is in Hamden, and that's 3300 Clipper Mill Road. And you can also find us online, whitetea.com. We're served and sold in cafes throughout the city, and starting in the county and a little bit in DC as well. And what else? On social media, you can find us at White Tea Co.
Excellent. Thank you, Sunni. Thank you, Brittany. Let me give us a couple of announcements, and we are going to close out. This has been a hot session of Entrepreneurship Matters. Next week is going to be another hot session, but we're going to have candles because we have 2 candle companies coming.
Oh, wow.
So Amino Ahmed of Handmade Habitat and Kendall Brown of 228 Grant Street Candle Company. They're going to be here. Don't miss them. Follow us on JH Connects on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. Email us feedback, jhconnects@jhu.edu. I want to thank our partners, Johns Hopkins University, Johns Hopkins Health System, Hopkins Local, the Mayor's Office of Small, Minority, and Women-Owned Business, the Warnock Foundation, Goldman Sachs, 10,000 Small Businesses, and Bloomberg Philanthropies. Thank you, Brittany. Thank you, Sunni. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a great day.
You too.